So here we are, another Sunday on Lochern. Somewhere different today. You've not seen me vlog here before. I am accompanied by Mr. H, so I'm not unsupervised. Let's see how today goes, shall we? We have our first swimmer coming back, and out there, just about there, is the oil slick from these two rods. It's a half mackerel and a little salmon par injected with smoky mackerel Eddie Turner oil. On this rod here, that is a big roach, and on that rod at the very end, finger pointing, is a pollen. So let's see how we go. I still think this man's crazy.
1 hour later.
I'm getting asked a lot of questions about the stove that I use, the Coleman stove that I use, so I'm going to do a quick rundown and sort of like a review, if you want, of the Coleman stove. This is the dual fuel 533. I have had this since I was a teenager, so I don't know if you can even buy this model anymore, but I have had this since I was a teenager. It runs off petrol, or you can buy Coleman's own fuel, or you can buy Aspen 4T. Now I use this stuff. That's Aspen 4T. It's basically super clean petrol that guys that run like chainsaws and lawnmowers would use it, and so you get it from any sort of like chainsaw type shop. You get two types of Aspen. You get blue and you get like an orange one. Go for the blue one. The orange one has like lubricants for engines in it, so you don't want that because that's going to burn and smell. The one thing with this here, if you're using this with like normal fuel, normal diesel, normal pet, don't put diesel on it, normal petrol, you will smell the petrol. I've never run this on the new E10 stuff, but I don't think this would work that well with the E10 petrol because it's a bit crap from what I hear. So if you're going to run this off normal petrol from the forecourt, go and get like the super unleaded or something like that there. This isn't something that I just cook with. See, if I do like an overnighter somewhere, this will heat up your bivvy like that there. It's really good. Servicing it is dead easy. Servicing it couldn't be easier. There's two screws in there. You undo those screws, this little plate comes off. You then take a spanner and you twist that off. This will then slide to the side and can come off. In the middle of this tube, there's like a little bit of wire. That's designed to stop this from unclogging. Well, once you've got that off, you can take this off. This holds your pots, and this is your burner in there. You can see there's a little screw in there. If you take that off, now I take it off every year, give it a good scrub down with like an emery board or an emery cloth. You know, just remove all the carbon, because sometimes there's carbon on it, the black stuff, just get that all removed. It does help the stove. Unfortunately, there is stuff that will perish with this. For example, your priming pump. There's a little silicone baffle in there that when you're pushing, it's pushing air to charge this. You will have to replace that eventually, but we're talking like decades of use before I had to replace this, so it doesn't just wear out like in a couple of days. But you can buy spares for the little charging handle. I mean, all that is there, there's like a big tube inside it, and there's a ball bearing and this baffle. And when you're priming it, it's pushing air into here. So this then puts the petrol under pressure, which means when you turn this on here, you'll hear gas. The petrol's been turned into gas, and then it gets ignited and you get cooking. Dead easy to use. You take the pump, little handle, and you would press that there about 25 to 30 times. You know, dead easy. Then twist it to lock it. That puts pressure in here. Then to turn it on, you're just basically going like this with a little red handle. Again, moving the handle right the way around, that's it on full. Moving it to its pointing down, that's at half. If you're wanting to boil a kettle, whack it up full, it'll boil the kettle in super quick time. Like I said, I have had this since I was a teenager. It has been all around the world with me. I've boiled in the bag rations from like Iraq and Afghanistan. I've made cups of coffee in the Iraqi desert with it. It has literally been all around the world. It has even at one point in time run off aircraft fuel, but I wouldn't do that long term, and don't tell the Air Force that I stole aircraft fuel to use it to make a cup of coffee. Obviously not to make the coffee to drink, but to fuel this to make the coffee warm. After it was called. But again, burning it stank like fuck. It's awful. So don't do that. So there you go. There you have it. It's lightweight. It will take an absolute kicking. It's easy to service. It's easy to service in the middle of nowhere. And it's running on. It can run on petrol. It can run on Coleman's own fuel. It can run on Aspen. Apparently, it can even run on alcohol. But again, I'm not going to stick whiskey in it. I'd rather stick the whiskey in me and keep myself warm that way than stick it in my stove. Unlike gas, it doesn't matter how cold it gets. This will always light because it's petrol. So there you have it. The Coleman dual fuel stove. I hope you enjoyed the review.
3 hours later.
It's been a weird one. I had 2 rods, the drop arms went, but when I lifted in there was nothing there. Odd, very odd. Don't know what's happening. I do know this much here. It is very, very mild today. Just tell you what the temperature is. The temperatures are like 16 degrees at the minute according to this app. 16 degrees. 14th of November at 16 degrees. Normally at this sort of time of year you'd have wanted it to be, well normally at this time of year it should be kind of round about the 0 degrees, kind of 2 or 3 degrees during the day would be nice. Okay, if it was this warm, or this cold, if it was that cold, I wouldn't be fishing here, I'd be fishing somewhere else, but because it is so mild I've come to another shallow bay. The bay is literally bouncing with a little fry. There's fry everywhere, you know, so it's just a bit weird that none of the 2 of us have had a pike yet. So something that's happening, it's kind of it's bordering on that whole bit that becomes annoying. Is there's been a couple of guys in boats that are kind of coming across on top of you. You know, that irritates me. It does irritate me. To the point where I was contemplating breaking out the spod rod and chucking 5-ounce leads at them. But this is Sunday, I'm being nice. Thankfully they moved off before the urge to chuck 5-ounce leads at them got too much. There's a lot of visiting pike anglers on the loch this weekend. One of my friends messaged me to say that there's a group of guys down. So I came somewhere that I thought would be, you know, well enough out of the way, but by the amount of boats that I've seen today, it's not out of the way enough. Still, we're fishing. You'll not catch pike sat at home on the couch. So it's all good that we're fishing. Lots of bird life as well. I mean, there must be like 6 or 7 pairs of moorhens about the place. Load of swans, a load of grebes. So the place is alive with all sorts of wildlife, which is great. I'm just wanting there to be pike. At this point in time, I'll take any pike of any size. We'll do cooking with scobes in a minute. Oh. I was having a laugh. My wife was talking to me about something called OnlyFans. And it kind of confused me, you know, it's OnlyFans. Apparently OnlyFans is something that normal women can go on to like the internet and flash the goods for money. And it kind of made me ask a question, you know, what sort of dipshit is actually paying for pornography? You know, I mean, the whole internet is just coming down with pornography, so why is anybody paying for it? You know, and not that Mrs. Scobie would do anything like that. It kind of made me ask like another question, like what would, you know, the normal man on the street, you know, come back and find out his other significant other, his other half is doing this. Again, it made me think, you know, call me a prude, but there's certain things that are, you know, only for each other, you know. You know, not that I'm saying don't do it, or you're a bad person if you're doing it, but there is going to be consequences to your actions. And the discussion was about this 18-year-old reprobate from America. She was famous for being on one of these daytime shows, and she was a bit of an arsehole. Well, she turned 18, and that's the legal age in that state where she was. So she opened up her OnlyFans, or opened up a OnlyFans, and started to make, you know, loads of money. And I thought, well, she's making loads of money for being an internet hooker. And eventually, this woman's going to want, you know, to settle down, have kids, start a family. But the question would be is what sort of man's going to want to settle down with, you know, a hooker? You know, okay, times might have moved on a little bit, and feminism might have told a generation of women that sex work is real work and it's okay to be a prostitute. That still doesn't make it appealing. Now, speaking as a man, I know I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with a hooker. Not for me. You know, in my whole life I have never paid for that, and I am never going to. Thankfully I was part of the generation before the internet, where if you wanted to go and have the company of a female, you actually had to go to the bar and talk to them. You weren't on the phone swiping. You know, again, this is kind of something that confuses me. Dating apps on the phone, that kind of confuses me, because you're putting out like an advertisement for the goods. It's like, okay, but nobody on the internet tells the truth. So you could be sitting there thinking, oh, she's 5'6", she's hourglass figure, she has epic legs, great ass. But in reality, it could be some 50-year-old bald guy sat in his fucking basement, you know, getting his rocks off at winding up random strangers on the internet. So modern times kind of confused me a little bit. I don't think I'm the only one that gets confused, but the whole paying for pornography, it confused me. There was the discussion, actually, there was the part of the discussion, some lady who was asked not to take part in the parent-teacher stuff for the school, because the teachers obviously had found out that this lady was, you know, flashing the working parts on the internet, and the school kind of went, no, we don't really want you near us. and there was a whole row about it online. It's like it made the media in dumb Fuckistan. I mean America. America, by the way, what has gone wrong with you lot? Strange times we live in. Strange times. It's now time for another exciting edition of Cooking with Scobes. And because I was a fucking idiot this morning and forgot my my lighter, we're having to use the emergency matches. These are horrible, by the way. If you're ever using these, don't use these inside a tent or a car or anywhere that's kind of closed in, because they're awful. Yeah, motherfucker.
You buy finger hair?
Again, farewell to hand hair.
Dangerous this cooking with scopes thing?
Fucking right it is. Cooking with Scobes. Farewell to thumb hair. Oh. Every week. Last week I fucking burned my thumb off the windbreak. Now I'm fucking taking the hair out. Oh. Dwayne has ditched the blue cool bag for a fishy green looking one. It's actually quite a nice cool bag.
Yeah, I'm thinking it.
We're going to have sausage and bacon sandwiches. So, rock and roll. You can't go wrong with sausage and bacon. This is actually pretty good bacon.
I don't know about the best now, man.
Try not to cut lumps out of my hand. That's always fun. This is locally from a place called Newton Butler, which actually isn't a million miles from where we're fishing.
Looks like coming down one fast.
No. The pan is doing a bit of aggressive talking to us.
Yeah, it's angry pan today. Yeah, since we served the stove, man, it's went up a notch.
Yeah, servicing the stove means the stove goes a bit faster now.
I think I should just do the two of us, you know.
I think we should be okay with it. Test to see if the tongs are operational. Tongs are to go.
Use them next time to light the stove.
Fucking right. That's how you know you've pressurised your Coleman stove too much. When you go to light it and it kind of flares up like that and gives you a free hand waxing. I mean, removal of all the hair. Doesn't that look sexy?
Smells damn good.
See you all in a bit. Yeah, fucker. Now we have the sausages. Don't they look sexy? Bacon, sausage, bread rolls, brown sauce. Gotta love the small things.
2 hours later.
It's just gone 5 o'clock. We have had no pike today. 2 runs, I think. No bites. I think they were bites. Although one came back with no bait, the other one came back, the bait didn't look to be touched. But it was weird that the drop arms just seemed to kind of fall. The second drop arm that fell, there was definitely the line being took off the reel, so it was definitely a run. But no pike. The weather forecast app on my phone says it was 16 degrees here today. I could have fished in a t-shirt. Far, far, far too warm. Although there is good news. The weatherman is telling us that for that we're coming into a period in November where we're going to get some pretty substantial cold fronts. You know, we're going to have daytime temperatures in the single digits, which is a good thing. Nighttime temperatures, which are about 2, maybe 1 degree, which is even better. I mean, I've said this before, we need a good fortnight of temperature that's around about the 0, just to kind of focus the minds of the fish to move into their winter areas. This wouldn't be a typical bay that I would go to in the middle of the winter because it is very shallow. You know, but it is what it is. This is karma for catching a double last week. Still, we've had loads of coffee, pretty awesome food, talked loads of shit, which is always something that's good, and thrown out some dead baits. The only gripe would be the boat traffic. The very first load of anglers that was in the boat that were kind of fishing on top of us. Yeah, that would be my I don't mind if you're in a boat, I don't really mind at all. You know, but obviously you see guys fishing from the bank, give them some space. You know, obviously stay well within their casting range. It's just good manners. I mean, if you can see like an oil slick coming up from somebody's bait, and you're kind of fishing on top of that, then you're fishing too close to that guy. It's just manners. But not everybody has manners, so we can't account for that. 5 o'clock here. Yeah, it's just 10 past 5. Going to do the last weekend of this month as an overnighter. So we're going to have to scout out a suitable location for it. But that'll be something that's going to happen this month. I'm not sure if I'll use the urn or maybe go somewhere like somewhere across the border maybe. There's a few places that we could go and try. But it'll be decided closer to the time. I'm just surprised that there was no pike on the mat today. It screamed pike this morning. The bay was alive with fish. And then it was alive with lunatics jumping in for a swim. It's been a strange old day. Anyway, we're going to probably fish to about another maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, to about 5:30 maybe, and then pull all in and take a slow drive back up the road to to Oma. Until the next time, troops, tight lines.